Good day, everyone. Welcome to today's lecture on skin cancer. Before we begin, let me ask you a question. Have you ever noticed a mole that changed in size, shape, or color? Would you know if it could be a sign of skin cancer? Skin cancer is one of the most common cancers worldwide. Although many cases are preventable, it continues to affect millions of people each year. Among the different types of skin cancer is melanoma. Um Melanoma is the aggressive or most aggressive because it can spread rapidly to other parts of the body if not detected early. Fortunately, when diagnosed at early stage, skin cancer is highly treatable, making prevention and early detection essential. So in today's lecture, we will discuss the anatomy and physiology of the skin, the pathophysiology of skin cancer, its risk factors, clinical manifestations, diagnostic tests, staging, treatment options, nursing management, and strategies for prevention and early detection. By the end of the session, you should be able to identify the different types of skin cancer, explain how the disease develops, recognize its warning signs, and describe the important role nurses play in patient education and prevention also. And the last is the comprehensive care. So let's begin by reviewing the normal anatomy and physiology of the skin, as understanding the normal structure and function of the skin provides the foundation for understanding how skin cancer develops. So before discussing skin cancer, it is important to understand the normal anatomy and physiology of the skin. Knowing the structures and function of the skin helps explain how skin cancer develops and why early detection is essential. So the skin is the largest organ of the body and serves as the first line of defense against physical injury, microorganisms, harmful chemicals, and ultraviolet radiations from the sun. It also helps regulate body temperature, prevents excessive water loss, provides sensation, and participates in vitamin D synthesis. So the skin has three main layers. We have the epidermis. So this one is the epidermis. The whole of this is the epidermis. And we have this one also is the epidermis part. This one. And this part is the dermis. Okay, the dermis. Okay, so we have here the dermis and we have also the epidermis. And then we have the hypodermis, this one. So we have also here the epidermis, and then sub or hypodermis. No, hypodermis. Okay, so the epidermis, the whole of this is the epidermis. So it consists epidermis, this part, no, in which this is the outer layer of the skin, and it is composed mainly of keratinocytes. Okay, so keratinocytes. So here you have keratinocytes here, in which this keratinocytes is the one that produces keratin to protect the body. So other important cells is the melanocytes that is on the basal part of the epidermis. So we have now the melanocytes, in which the melanocytes is the one that produces melanin. So melanin is the pigment, no, responsible for skin color and protection against the ultraviolet radiations. We have also number 2, which is the Langerhans cell. Okay, I will change the color. Okay. So we have the Langerhans cells also. Okay, so the Langerhans cells, which help the immune system to recognize no harmful microorganisms. And then we have the Merkel cell. Okay, so the Merkel cells, which are involved in the sensation of light touch. No, light touch. So most skin cancers begin in the epidermis. No, and one of those is your basal. No, so this is our basal. This is the base. No, so it's more on basal cell carcinoma, in which it arises in the basal cell. So as you can see, here is the basal cells. No, here, the part. No, and we have number 2, which is squamous cell carcinoma. So here is the squamous cell. So this one, this part is the squamous cell. So always these three is part of the epidermis layer. No, and then we have the melanocytes. No, so the melanocytes is here. No, on the basal part. No, so as you can see here, this is the whole picture of an epidermis. So the melanocytes is on the lower part, no, on the basal layer, no. So the melanoma, no, uh, or squamous, no, we call it melanoma, no. It originates from the melanocytes. Okay, so we have the next one, which is the dermis, no, or this one, no. So this one is the dermis. So it is located just beneath the epidermis. Now, so the dermis contains collagen and elastin fibers that provide strength, no, and elasticity. No, so it also contains blood vessels, lymphatic vessels, no, and nerves, hair follicles, sebaceous glands. Yes. No, so we have the sebaceous glands, the sweat glands also. So when skin cancer invades the dermis, it gains easier access to blood and lymphatic vessels, increasing the risk of spread. Okay, so we have also the last one, which is the hypodermis. So this part is the hypodermis. No, this part. No, that is the hypodermis. Okay, so we call this one as your subcutaneous, no, subcutaneous tissues. This is the deeper layer, consists mainly of fat and connective tissues. No, so the function of your subcutaneous tissue, no, it cautions the body, no, stores energy and provides insulation. So advanced skin cancers may extend into this layer, no, which is the subcutaneous layer, no, and nearby muscles or bones. Okay, so as we all know that the physiology of the skin, that the skin performs several vital functions. No, one of these is to protect the body from injury, infections, and harmful ultraviolet radiations. Number 2, it regulates body temperature through sweating and blood vessels dilation or constrictions. Number 3, it prevents excessive fluid loss, no, or dehydrations. And number 4, it detects sensations such as touch, no, the pressure, the pain, and temperature. And next function is it produces vitamin D when exposed to sunlight. And the last is the skin participates in immune defense against uh, pathogen. Okay, so what is the clinical significance in skin cancer? So most skin cancers develop after repeated ultraviolet radiations, no, so or there is an ultraviolet radiation exposure, no, damages the DNA of the skin cells. Okay, so normally the damaged cells, no, are repaired or destroyed, but however repeated, remember this, repeated DNA damage can lead to genetic mutations, causing now abnormal cells to grow uncontrollably and form cancer. Okay, so uh, we will discuss the types of skin cancer. No, depends on the cell of origin. So, for example, for if the biopsy shows that it's a basal cell carcinoma, so that means that it is one of the most common and usually grows slowly. No, they grow slowly. The cancer cells grow slowly. No, for the squamous cell carcinoma, it it this kind of carcinoma more likely to invade nearby tissues. But the melanoma is the most aggressive form because it can spread rapidly through the lymphatic system and bloodstream if not detected early. So, understanding the normal anatomy and physiology of the skin provides the foundation, no, for recognizing, no, how skin cancer develops, how it spreads, and why prevention through sun protection and early detection is critical. Okay, so uh, melanoma, no, originates from the melanocytes. No, as I have told you a while back, that melanocytes is the pigment producing cells that produce melanin. No, this is the substance responsible for skin color, no, and protects against ultraviolet radiations. Although melanoma accounts for only about 1% of all skin cancer cases, it is responsible for the majority of skin cancer related deaths because it can spread rapidly if not diagnosed and treated early. So, according to American Cancer Society, an estimated 104,960 new cases of melanoma were expected to be diagnosed in the United States in 2025. No, and with approximately 8,430 deaths. And this statistics highlights the significant health burden of melanoma despite its relatively low incidence compared with other skin cancer. Fortunately, melanoma is highly treatable, no, and when detected early, no, so regular skin self-examinations, routine clinical skin assessment, uh, sun protection, and prompt medical evaluation of suspicious skin lesions greatly improve the chances of successful treatment and long-term survival. Therefore, public education, and awareness remain essential strategies in reducing the burden of skin cancer. Okay, so uh, if melanoma no accounts for only 1% of all skin cancers, why do you think it causes most skin cancer deaths? No? So the answer is because melanoma spreads much more quickly than the basal cell or squamous cell carcinoma. That is why early detection using the ABCDE rule and prompt treatment are essential. Okay, so we will discuss also the skin cancer statistics in the Philippines. So, reliable and up-to-date national statistics on skin cancer in the Philippines remain limited because the country does not yet have a comprehensive national cancer registry for skin cancers. So, as a result, the true number of cases is likely higher than reported. So, according to data from the Philippine Dermatological Society from 2011 to 2021 that there are 2,102 cases of basal cell carcinoma were documented, and there are also 714 cases of squamous cell carcinoma were documented. So these figures are considered underestimate as many cases are not captured in the centralized national database. Uh, Unlike many high-income countries where non-melanoma skin cancers are often excluded from cancer registries because they are common and easily treated, the burden in low and middle income countries such as the Philippines can be greater due to delayed diagnosis, limited access to healthcare, and health inequities or inequities. So the absence of national skin cancer registry highlights the need for improved surveillance, early detection program, public awareness, and better access to dermatologic and cancer care in the Philippines. Another reason, I think also that the dermatology workforce and challenges in the Philippines that uh, access to dermatologic care remains limited as they are only 1,275 board certified dermatologists serving a population of approximately 109 million Filipinos. So more than half of these specialists practiced in the national capital region, leaving many provinces undeserved. So, for example, in one region of southern Philippines, there is only one dermatologist for about 4 million people. So, for many Filipinos, the community health center um, is the first point of healthcare. However, skin cancer may be misdiagnosed or diagnosed late because suspicious skin lesions are relatively uncommon in primary care and healthcare providers. Yes, so maybe they may have limited experience also recognizing them. Okay, so what are the symptoms of melanoma? No, so melanoma begins as a new or an unusual mole, or as a change in an existing mole. No, so while some skin changes are harmless, melanoma can resemble benign skin conditions, making early recognition essential. So the most important warning sign is a mole or skin lesions that changes over time. So healthcare professionals commonly use the ABCDE rule to identify suspicious lesions. Okay, so we have to discuss the ABCDE rule. Is an it is an easy, no, a memory tool that helps us recognize the warning signs of melanoma, the deadliest type of skin cancer. So when examining a mole, remember the letters A to E. If a mole has one or more of these features, it should be checked by a healthcare professional. Okay, so let's explain each letter. Okay, so letter A means asymmetry. Okay, so imagine drawing a line through the middle of the mole. No, if one half, no, looks different from the other, it is asymmetrical, which can be a warning sign. Okay, letter B is the border. Normal moles usually have smooth, as you can see, there is a smooth, no, edges. Okay, so there is a smooth, even edges. While in melanoma, as you can see here in the melanoma, no, they have irregular, no, may have regular jag, scallop, or blurred borders. Okay, so it's a bad, no, mole. So have a doctor check it out. Okay, and number 3 is the letter C. No, letter C. No, so in healthy moles, as you can see here, no, this one is a healthy or the good mole. No, are they have a single shade of brown. No, so as you can see, no, it's only one color, which is brown. But in melanoma, no, it contains multiple colors. No, here we have the black, we have the brown, we have the light brown. No, so they have multiple colors. So such as black, no, so we have the black, red, white, or blue colors. Okay, and let's move on to the next letter, which is diameter. No, so this one is diameter greater than 6. No, so please, we have to be cautious. No, if a mole is larger than 6 mm or millimeters, no, about the size of a pencil um, eraser. However, remember that some melanomas can be smaller also, no. And then letter E, in evolving, no, evolving. So we have here the picture, evolving. Okay, so this is the most important sign, no. If a mole changes in size, shape, just like this, no, size, no, here small, then over time there is a change, it changes in size, no, the shape, as you can see here, no, it involves, no, the shape, the color, we have to check the color, the texture, or it starts to itch, no, kumakati, it starts to bleed or crust, it should be evaluated, it should be evaluated. immediately. So, so this ABCDE rule is a simple screening guide, no, not a diagnosis. So it helps us identify suspicious skin changes early so that people can seek medical evaluation. Early detection of melanoma greatly increases the chance of successful treatment. Okay, so let's discuss now the early signs of melanoma. So, melanoma often begins with subtle changes in the skin, making it easy to overlook. Now, in its early stages, it may appear as a small dark spots that gradually enlarges or as an existing mole that changes in color, changes in shape and size. So the mole may become darker and develop irregular borders or show multiple colors. Melanoma can also develop in less common areas, including the palms of your hands, the soles of the feet, the under the fingernails or toenails, the mucous membranes such as the mouth, the nose, or genital area. No, because melanoma can really resemble harmless skin conditions such as freckles, age spots, rashes, it is important to look for warning signs. Unlike normal moles, melanoma often has irregular borders, uneven colors, and changes over time. So studies indicate that about 70% of the patient with early detected melanoma first notice changes in an existing mole. Okay, highlighting the importance of monthly self skin examinations and regular dermatologic checkup for early detection. So early detection saves lives, no? So if you notice a new or changing mole or any unusual skin lesions, seek prompt evaluation by a healthcare provider or dermatologist. Okay, early diagnosis greatly improves the chances of successful treatment. So, what causes melanoma? Okay, so melanoma develops when melanocytes, no, the cells responsible for producing melanin, the pigment that gives skin its color, no, undergo DNA damage and begin to grow and divide uncontrollably. So this uncontrolled growth leads to the formation of cancer. So the development of melanoma is usually caused by a combination of genetic and environmental factors. Okay, for the genetic, no, genetic factors, some people inherit gene mutations that increase the risk of developing melanoma, especially if there is a family history, no, of the disease. So some example of genetic factors, we have the family history of cutaneous melanoma, lightly pigmented skin, tendency to burn, inability to tan, red hair color, and DNA repair defects. No, example is your xeroderma pigmentosum. Okay, so next is the environmental factors. No, the most significant risk factor is excessive exposure to ultraviolet radiations from the sun, no, or tanning beds, which can damage the skin or the DNA of the skin, or DNA of the skin cells, no? So because melanoma results from both inherited susceptibility and environmental exposure, understanding this risk factor is essential for prevention, early detection, and timely treatment. Okay, so we have to discuss genetic and family history risk factors for melanoma. Okay, so genetics play an important role in the development of melanoma, and some people inherit gene mutation that increase their risk of developing the disease. So the most common inherited mutation is the uh, CDKN2A, no, gene, which normally helps regulate cell growth and prevent cell from becoming cancerous. But when this gene is altered, the risk, no, it's altered already, no, and when this gene uh, is altered, the risk of melanoma increases significantly. So other inherited gene mutations linked to familial melanoma uh, include CDK4, BAP1, MITF, and POT1, no, and identified in familial melanoma. So approximately 10 to 20% of melanoma cases occurs in individual with a family history of the disease. No, so people with these inherited mutations often develop melanoma at a younger age, and it may develop more than one primary melanoma during their lifetime. Okay, so the research, no, has shown that individuals with CDKN2A mutation may have a lifetime melanoma risk up to 76%. So people who have one or more first degree relatives, no, one or more first degree relatives, no, parents, it could be siblings or children with melanoma, or uh, multiple family members diagnosed with melanoma, should discuss, no, genetic counseling and genetic testing with their healthcare provided. So a well-known example from Australia uh, demonstrated that a family carrying an inherited CDKN2A mutation experience fewer advanced melanoma cases in younger generations after adopting regular skin screening, early detection, and strict sun protection practices. So, while genetics can be changed, knowing your family history, considering genetic testing when appropriate, practicing sun protection, and undergoing regular skin examinations can significantly improve early detection and reduce the risk of advanced melanoma. Okay, so let's discuss environmental and lifestyle risk factors for melanoma. So, environmental and lifestyle factors play a major role in the development of melanoma, with ultraviolet radiation being the most important risk factor. So ultraviolet rays from the sun and artificial sources such as tanning beds can damage the DNA of skin cells, increasing now the risk of melanoma. So there are some key environmental and lifestyle risk factors, and it includes number one, the excessive sun exposure or ultraviolet uh, radiations. Now, especially intense or intermittent sun exposure that causes sunburns, that causes yes, sunburns, particularly during childhood. No, and another one is the using of tanning beds, especially before the age of 35 years of age, which significantly also increases the risk of melanoma. And for the geographical locations, no, living in areas with high ultraviolet exposure, such as Australia, New Zealand, and the southern United States, where melanoma rates are among the highest in the world. And um, another one is the outdoor occupations or recreational activities, where without adequate sun protection, such as using sunscreen, uh, wearing protective clothing, hats, sunglasses, or seeking shade. No, and another one also is weakened immune system. No, such as in individuals who have undergone maybe organ transplantations, or those clients who are living with HIV, no, or are taking immunosuppressive medications, making it harder for the body to detect and destroy abnormal cells. So, uh, many environmental and lifestyle risk factors are preventable. Practicing sun safe behavior, including limiting sun exposure during peak hours, applying broad spectrum sunscreen, wearing protective clothing, avoiding tanning beds, and performing regular skin examinations can significantly reduce the risk of melanoma and promote also early detection. So, what are the types of melanoma? So, melanoma is classified into different types based on where it develops, how it appears, and how quickly it grows. Recognizing these types are important for early diagnosis and appropriate treatment. So we have four types. We have the superficial spreading melanoma. We have the nodular melanoma, and we have also the third one, which is lentigo maligna melanoma, and the last one is your acral lentiginous melanoma. Okay, so let's discuss superficial spreading melanoma, and it is most common type, accounting approximately 70% of all melanoma cases. And it appears as a flat or slightly raised pigmented lesions with irregular. So we have irregular, we have uneven borders. No, so we have here the uneven borders. Okay, and varying shades of black. So we have black here. This one is black. Okay, we have brown. No, this one is brown. We have the pink. No, this part is the pink. And we have also the tan colors. no, tan colors. Okay, so this type develops on the trunk in men or in the legs in women, although it can occur anywhere on the body. Okay, so superficial spreading melanoma generally grows horizontally across the skin before invading deeper tissues, making early recognition and treatment highly effective. So secondly, we have the nodular melanoma. So it accounts for approximately 15 to 20% of melanomas cases, considered the most aggressive type because it grows rapidly. No, and it appears as a raised, firm, dark-colored bump. Although it can also be pink or red, no, and sometimes it grows downward into the skin early, making prompt diagnosis essential. So thirdly is the lentigo maligna melanoma, and this is most commonly affects older adults and usually develops on the sun exposed areas, especially the face, the neck, and the arms. No, so it begins as a flat, slowly enlarging brown or black patch with irregular borders. And typically, it grows slowly over several years before becoming invasive. So the last one is acral lentiginous melanoma. And this one is a rare type of melanoma, but the most common form in people with darker skin tones. No, so it develops on the palms, no, of the hands, the soles of the feet, or under the fingernails and toenails. It may resemble a bruise, fungal infection, or injury which can delay diagnosis. So each type of melanoma has unique characteristics, no? But any new, changing, or unusual skin lesions should be evaluated promptly. Early recognition and treatment greatly improve the chances of successful outcomes. Okay, so let's go now to the stages of melanoma. No, so melanoma is stage from stage 0 to stage 4 based on the size and thickness of the tumor, the presence of ulceration, the lymph node involvement, and if the cancer spreads or metastasize, no, so staging helps determine the most appropriate treatment and prognosis. So we start with stage 0, in which the melanoma is still in situ. Okay, so the melanoma is confined to the epidermis or the outer layer of the skin, and it has a spread, no, to lymph nodes or other organs. So the treatment is surgical incisions, and the prognosis, it's excellent with a very high cure rate. So we have also stage 1. We call this one as early melanoma. The tumor is up to 2 mm thick, and may or may not be ulcerated. No, so there is no lymph node involvement, and the treatment here is wide local excision. No, we call this one as the next when wild local excisions. We call this one as your SLNB or your sentinel lymph node biopsy, which is recommended for selected patients just to check for microscopic spread. Okay, so for stage two, and this is more on localized melanoma. So the tumor is greater than 2 mm thick, no, with or without ulceration, and it has not spread to lymph nodes. And the treatment is a wide local excision and your SLNB or your sentinel lymph node biopsy. And high-risk patients may receive adjuvant immunotherapy, no, such as your nevolumab, no, and your pembrolizumab to reduce the risk of occurrence. So let's move on to stage three, which is there is already a regional melanoma. So the melanoma has a spread to nearby lymph nodes or to satellite lesions near the original tumor. Okay, so the original tumor, we call this one as your primary tumor. So the treatment, no, is surgery just to remove the primary tumors and affected lymph nodes, no, followed by immunotherapy or targeted therapy for tumors, especially with BRAF mutations. No, so radiation therapy also may also be considered. So we will discuss the stage four, and it's already a metastatic melanoma, no, and the cancer has spread to different organs, and such as the lungs, the liver, the brain, or the distant lymph nodes. And the treatment is primarily systemic therapy. No, so what are those primarily systemic therapy? It includes number one, immunotherapy, no, immunotherapy in which we have the patient will use checkpoint inhibitors such as nivolumab, pembrolizumab, or your ipilimumab. Okay, and another systemic therapy is the targeted therapy, no, the BRAF, the MEK inhibitors, or one example of this is your dabrafenib and tramitinib. This is for patients with BRAF mutated melanoma. And chemotherapy also, no, use less frequently and usually with other treatments. So the earlier melanoma is detected, the better the prognosis. That means that stage 0 and stage 1 melanomas are often highly curable with surgery, while advanced stages require systemic treatments. So early detection through regular skin examinations and prompt medical evaluation remains as the best strategy for improving survival. Okay, so how is melanoma diagnosed? So melanoma is diagnosed through a combination of clinical examinations, biopsy, imaging, studies, and genetic testing. So early and accurate diagnosis is essential, though, for timely treatment and improve outcomes. So number one, we have the skin examinations So the healthcare provider carefully examines the skin for suspicious moles or lesions, paying attention to changes in size, the shape, and the color or the border. So the ABCDE rule, which is asymmetry, border, color, uh, uh, diameter, and evolving, uh, is commonly used to identify lesions that may be uh, melanoma. So another uh, diagnostic, no, or how to diagnose melanoma is through the use of your dermoscopy, no. So it is used as a specialized magnifying instrument called a dermatoscope to examine the skin in greater detail. Okay, and next, yeah, so the dermoscopy, the advantage of dermoscopy is uh, it has a diagnostic accuracy by revealing the structures beneath the skin surface that are not visible to the naked eye. So number three is we have biopsy. So if, for example, a lesion appears suspicious, a skin biopsy is performed by removing all or parts of the lesions for microscopic examinations. Remember that a biopsy is the gold standard for confirming a diagnosis of melanoma. And the next is the imaging test. So patients, for patients with advanced melanoma or suspected spread, uh, imaging studies such as CT scans or computed tomography, uh, positron emission tomography, or your PET scans, no, help to determine if the cancer has spread to lymph nodes or distant organs. And the last but not the least is the genetic testing. So tumor tissue may be tested for genetic mutations, particularly the BRAF mutations. So identifying these mutations help guide treatment decisions, especially the use of targeted therapies. So early diagnosis is critical because melanoma is highly treatable when detected early. And thorough skin examinations such as biopsies, appropriate imaging, genetic testings provided the informations needed for accurate diagnosis. So staging and selection of the most effective treatment also. Okay, so let's go to the treatment options for melanoma. So treatment for melanoma, it depends on the stage of the cancer. So its location, uh, if there are some certain genetic mutations such as BRAF are present. So we have to discuss surgery for melanoma. So surgery is the primary treatment for melanoma, especially in its early stages. So the goal here is to completely remove the tumor along with a margin of healthy tissue to reduce the risk of recurrence. So one of these is the wide local excision. This one is the standard surgical procedure. The recommended surgical margin depends on the thickness of the melanoma. So if melanoma in situ is zero point 0.5 to 1 cm margin, the MOHS surgery, micrographic surgery, may be considered for lesions on the face. For thin melanomas, which is 1 mm, no, it requires 1 cm margin. And for the intermediate melanoma, 1 to 2 mm, the margin is 1 to 2 cm. Although a 1 cm margin may be appropriate. It's appropriate in anatomically challenging areas. So for the thicker tumors or thick melanoma, thick as high as uh, greater than 2 mm, so 2 cm margin is recommended. So if melanoma has spread to the nearby lymph nodes, a sentinel lymph node biopsy is performed to determine if the cancer has metastasized. So if the sentinel lymph node contains cancer cells, so lymph node dissections may be considered. So some melanoma subtypes require specialized surgical management. Number one is the head neck melanoma. It may require adjuvant radiation therapy when complete surgical removal is difficult or the risk of recurrence is high. For the acral and uh, subungual melanoma, uh, it requires more extensive surgery and may need skin grafting or reconstructive procedures. So, surgery offers an excellent chance of cure for early stage melanoma. However, possible complications include scarring, wound infection, bleeding, delayed healing, and lymph edema. So, lymph edema means swelling caused by a lymph node removal. So, regular follow-up is important to monitor the healing and detect also if there is any recurrence early. So let's discuss another treatment options of skin cancer, and uh, we have to discuss immunotherapy for melanoma. So immunotherapy has transformed the treatment of advanced and metastatic melanoma by helping the body's immune system to recognize and to destroy cancer cells. So it has significantly improved survival rates, no, and some patients achieve a long-term remissions. So the main type of immunotherapy, it includes your PD-1, uh, PD-1 inhibitors such as your pembrolizumab and nivolumab. So these drugs, uh, they block the PD-1 pathway and allowing now the immune cells to better identify and attack the melanoma cells. Another one is your CTLA, that's 4 inhibitors. And one example here is your ipilimumab. They work by increasing now the T cell activation. Uh, they are combined, mostly they were combined with PD-1 inhibitors just to improve the treatment effectiveness in some patients. Okay, so although immunotherapy has greatly improved outcomes, uh, it can also cause immune related side effects because it stimulates the immune system. And some common adverse effects include fatigue, no, skin rashes, diarrhea, inflammation of organs, such as the lungs, the liver, or the intestines, and autoimmune reactions. So these side effects require close monitoring and prompt management. So researchers continue to develop um, new immunotherapy combinations that aim to increase treatment success while reducing also the side effects, offering hope for even better outcomes for patients with melanoma in the future. So let's discuss the prognosis of melanoma. The prognosis of melanoma, it depends mainly on how early the cancer is diagnosed and types and the stage of melanoma and also the patient's overall health. So early detection offers the best chance for a cure, while advanced disease has a higher risk of recurrence and spread to other organs. So there are some important factors that influence prognosis. Uh, it includes number one, the tumor thickness, which is the Breslow depth, and then the presence of ulcerations, the lymph node involvement, and the presence of distance metastasis. So during the recent advances in immunotherapy and targeted therapy have significantly improved survival, especially for patients with advanced or metastatic melanoma. So we have the 5 year survival rates by stage. And for stage zero, it's melanoma in situ, so nearly 100%, and that is 5 year survival. For stage one, we have approximately 90 to 95%, and that is also 5 year survival. For stage two, approximately 75 to 85, 5 year survival, depending on tumor thickness and ulcerations. And for the stage 3, it drops to 50 to 65, 5 year survival after spread to regional lymph nodes. For stage 4, historically, the 5 year survival rate was less than 10%. With modern treatments such as checkpoint inhibitors and combination immunotherapy, nearly half of patients may now survive 5 to 10 years or longer. Okay, so the earlier melanoma is detected and treated, the better the outcome. Okay, so advances in immunotherapy and targeted therapy have they have transformed melanoma from a disease with limited treatment options into one where many patients, even with advanced disease, can also achieve a long-term survival and improve quality of life. So let's talk about the prevention of melanoma. So melanoma can often be prevented by reducing exposure to ultraviolet radiations, uh, which is the leading cause of skin cancer. So practicing good sun safety and having regular skin examinations are the most effective ways to lower your risk. The key prevention strategies, it includes you have to apply broad spectrum sunscreen with SPF 30 or higher, and reapply every 2 hours, no, or after swimming or sweating. Okay, so we have to wear also protective clothing, maybe a wide brim hat and an ultraviolet blocking sunglasses when outdoors. Okay, so we have to avoid also um, direct sun exposure during peak hours. No, uh, peak hours means 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Now, when these ultraviolet rays are strongest, and we have also to avoid tanning beds as they emit concentrated ultraviolet radiations that increases the risk of melanoma. So self tanning products are a safer cosmetic alternative. Okay, so next is we have to perform monthly skin self-examinations, no, and schedule regular dermatology checkups, especially if you have a family history of melanoma or many moles. No, so early detection greatly improves the chances of successful treatment. Another one is the healthy lifestyle, no, may also help reduce the risk of melanoma. A Mediterranean style diet, rich in fruits, vegetables, whole grain, fish, olive oil, and nuts provides antioxidants and omega-3 fatty acids that may reduce inflammation and protect skin cells. And another one is the regular exercises or regular physical activity that supports immune functions and overall health. So, uh, in this slide, which talks about prevention, yes, the best way to prevent melanoma is really to protect your skin from UV exposure. Avoid tanning beds, maintaining, or we have to maintain a healthy lifestyle, and then we have to check your skin regularly. So early detection again and prevention remain the most effective strategies for reducing melanoma related illness and death. Okay, so let's go now to the latest updates in melanoma. So recent advances in melanoma research continue to improve treatment options, particularly for those patients with advanced or treatment-resistant disease. So number one is the tonlamitinib uh, or NRAS mutated melanoma. And in March 2024, China's National Medical Products Administrations approved tonlamitinib, no, as the first targeted therapy for NRAS mutated advanced melanoma after failure of the PDA1 and PDL that's L1 therapy or immunotherapy. Okay, so we have also another one. Yes, in this tonlamitinib, the most common side effects were rash or rashes, and acneiform dermatitis, with most severe adverse events being manageable. Okay, so let's go now to Rego or regorafenib. It shows promise in refractory melanoma according to the study, and the results from the phase 2 REGO-MEL trial, no, which was published in 2024, evaluated that regorafenib in patients with advanced melanoma that had progressed after previous treatment. Okay, so uh, let's go to the number 3, which is the use of the IL-13 RA2 CAR T cell therapy. No, so an ongoing phase 1 clinical trial is investigating uh, the cell therapy, no, for patients with, especially those clients with were diagnosed with stage 3C or stage 4 melanoma and other metastatic solid tumor. So this is personalized immunotherapy, uses genetically engineered T cells just to recognize and destroy the cancer cells, expressing now the IL-1/3RA2 no protein. Okay, so this trial is evaluating safety, how the tumor responds, no, and how about the long-term persistence of the modified T cells. So we have a modified T cells because there is what we call genetically engineered T cells that is being used here to recognize and to destroy the cancer cells that expressing the IL-13RA2 protein. Okay, and the so another latest updates in melanoma, no, is nilotinib combination therapy. No, so another phase 1 trial is evaluating nilotinib combined with BRAF MEK inhibitors for patients with BRAF V600 mutant metastatic melanoma, whose diseases has progressed despite previous targeted therapy. No, so the study aims to determine, no, the optimal dose, the safety profile, and the drug interactions and effectiveness of the triple drug combination. So there are triple, no, nilotinib, and all three drugs are administered together. No, so uh, the key or the latest developments in melanoma treatments focus on the precision medicine and novel immunotherapies. No, so a new targeted therapies such as tonlametinib expanded uh, use of regorafenib, and then there is this innovative CAR T cell therapy and combination targeted treatments offer a new hope for patients with advanced uh, or treatment resistant uh, melanoma. So moving care towards more personalized and effective treatment strategies.